What's good, YouTube? We're back with another reaction. You know what I'm saying? It's me. It's YouTube chat. It's Twitch chat, all in the top right corner. You feel me? I got eats today, so if I'm eating during the reaction, pardon me. You know what I'm saying? And we got a Bev. Can't forget the Bev. I'm more of a water guy. You know, if you've been on this channel for a long time, I'm a big advocate of drink your water. But you know what I'm saying? I got something with a little kick today. You know, I've been drinking like a gallon of water daily, so I don't think this little soda is doing that for real. As always, you can pre-fire a little like on the video, and I hope you guys, if you like what you see, you like, topics regarding gaming, anime, pop culture, etc. Tap in with the channel. We make all types of videos, and yeah. Without further ado, though, Discord comment link down below. We can get straight into it.
Oh my god! It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me. Bro, I am
high nose ball. When the first season ended and they were taking so long to get the second season, I literally read all of the comics in one go. So it's like, this means something to me, man.
So excited for this new season. I know I just opened up with the cold intro and I'm transitioning to another intro around this video. Oh my god, I'm so excited, bro. What's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, and today we are not only going to be analyzing the brief showing of Invincible Season 4, breaking down the trailer.
You hear that in the back.
And what to expect from the season, but also talking about not only future events that are going to be happening within the series, and basically, I'm just going to be yapping about the comics and telling you guys with my nerd glasses that y'all are not ready for this season. This will easily be the best season, or at least has the potential to be content-wise. You see, already from the trailer, we see that Mark is going to be having trauma and finally be in a position where he's not holding back. After being constantly clowned on for...
Genuinely, this is like the most important point of the story, because it's the turning point to actually get to rising action. And then the war, minor spoilers, but like the war was obviously coming. And you don't even know what war I'm talking about. But this is a transition for the war. There's a lot of character development there. A lot of time skips and things of that nature occur. And the climax of the story is like, the end of where this rising action leads you to.
Pretty much like the last 3 seasons by the entire fan base. Like, you are not an Invincible fan without slandering Mark Grayson in any way, shape, or form, but now we are finally going to be seeing him learning his lesson and, applying a new mindset to the world. A big character who will actually test Mark's ideals and will probably be the biggest foil to his new mindset is, in fact, the GOAT that be.
Even when he goes back in the past at some point. I'm telling you, it's a bunch of crazy stuff in Invincible, bro. You guys have to...
being Dinosaurus. But before we talk about that, we do see how Cecil warns Mark how this isn't really who he is, but Mark notes that he has to do this. It seems to be as well that he's making up for his lack of saving during the war by going out trying to save as many people as he can. I mean, considering that this entire situation was technically his fault, you can already feel the burden that Mark is going to be carrying throughout at least this first half of the season. And of course, like I just mentioned, we see him going head-to-head with none other than Dinosaurus. Dinosaurus, like within this part of the comic, will have a major role in the first half leading up to the war, and more than likely he's coming back in Season 5, where his story will more than likely conclude there. I'm super excited for us to get another villain who pushes Mark a lot more than just...
Shoot, Season 5 might be the last season of Invincible, but there's so much in the comics that, like, it doesn't have to be. Because if this is, like, the first half of the war, and, like, the inciting action for the war, because technically in the show, the war, like the inciting action is conquest. Like, we're here for you, blah, blah, blah. And then inciting action also starts when Nolan and Mark fight the Viltrumites. However, the war is like such a long period of time with a bunch of time skips. So like they can do first part of the war, like end this season off on like where a time skip's about to start or something. And then they still can get another season off. And then even if you get towards the end of the war, there's like a part 2 to the war. So they can definitely get, I would say, predict is sending up now. Let me get probably 6 seasons. Maybe 7 if we're lucky.
Physically, and especially since what we've seen with the show and how they handle their villains, like for example with Angstrom and Powerplex, who are a lot better in the show than in comparison to their comic selves.
Facts.
I'm really excited to see a comic book villain from Invincible that already is pretty significant to potentially be even better when adapted onto the big screen. And Dinosaurus, unlike a lot of villains within Invincible, doesn't just push Mark physically. He's one of the biggest factors that ultimately defines Mark's heroism, in my opinion. We also see a lot of familiar faces if you are a reader of the comics, like for example Universa and Captain Britt. Universa is whatever, really. She's just gonna be some cannon fodder.
Why is she caked up, bro? What is this silhouette? Like, think about it. If your back's towards to your opponent, it should be a sideways shot. But based off this angle, it's like the legs are turned sideways and the body is turned away from the opponent. Very strange.
For even Mark to handle and probably be a villain for Mark to apply this new mindset with. But Britt is someone who's super underrated in my opinion and has some decent solo Invincible comics. He is just a genuine good guy, and I feel like in Invincible we don't really have a lot of those. And since the Immortal is pretty much just retired for now, I think Captain Britt replacing him and, you know, us to have a more likable hero this time around, it definitely leads some potential for some future dynamics, like maybe Britt and Cecil and how they have different perspectives, or maybe even Britt and Mark. But yeah, I think it's super cool that they're adding in this side character, especially since he's one of the better written
bulletproof lame, man.
In characters within the comics. And since the show has a very big pattern of just handling the characters way better in the show than in the comics, I'm excited to see what Britt has to offer, and I hope he's just not a glorified background character. One thing, unfortunately, that does seem to be the case for this season, unless she does something in this new exclusive show arc, is Adam Eve. You see, in the comics, this is around the time where her powers stop really working all that well, or she can't really use her powers all that well because, well, she's pregnant. Meaning, she is not going to be participating.
And the reason this is also fire is it's about, like, who she is. She finally has, like, a character arc where originally she was upset that she lost her powers. Or, to go even further back, she was having a beef with her parents about her using her powers, and then she came to accept her powers, so she started doing all types of crazy stuff, which was good for her, like, mental growth, but she still has a mental, like, block on her powers. And we saw that when she fought Conquest. When she actually pushed, she's able to go farther beyond, you know, so she's accepting her powers, but not in totality everything that they're capable of yet. So here, it's like, because you couldn't do that, you lost them. Now, it's because she's pregnant. It's not, like, explicitly because, oh, you haven't fully accepted what your powers are capable of, but it's a good chance to, like, talk about the emotional depth that occurs when someone defines himself by a singular trait. You know, I'm a hero. I do this. She doesn't really have, like, we don't see any personal life from her besides her being at school. So it's like, it's a good chance to show how for some heroes, if that's all they have, when they lose that thing that they feel like defines them, they still have to understand that they're still a human, they're still a person, and they still have other things that they can live for and pursue.
Participating in the Viltrumite War. If you were expecting Adam Eve to pop off like she did last season, well, unfortunately in the comics, this is the biggest thing she's ever accomplished. So this will more than likely be the case for the show's version. However, the show loves to do differences from the comics, so I'm sure she'll get some extra moments. But really, aside from this Universa fight and this exclusive arc that we're getting in the show, I don't think we're going to be seeing really that much of Adam Eve, and rightfully so.
Oh yeah, this is an exclusive arc. We're definitely getting 7 seasons.
She did a lot last season. She put in a lot of work, so for her to be on the back burner now, I don't really blame her. Now, we also get to see this new demon arc in action. You know, we do see Darkblood wearing some type of armor or somebody who looks like Darkblood. We're not sure if it's Darkblood 100%, but it's probably him, and I can't really say much other than the fact that I'm excited for what's to come. But the one thing that I'm kind of having issue with following is the fact that this is supposed to follow the same episode format as the last previous seasons, and instead of having supposed to follow the same episode format as the last previous seasons, and instead of having 2 halves of an arc or 2 halves of a season, we're having 2 halves going into season 4 plus a random new arc. So I'm not sure how the show is going to be handling this. Maybe we get some extra
pacing-wise.
episodes to compensate for this, because if this is not the case, we are going to be going everywhere. We have not only the first half of season 4 leading up to the Viltrumite War, but we have the Viltrumite War itself, which we do know that the show is going to be getting into as we see characters like Space Racer and Tech Jacket, along with Viltrumites like Anissa, who seems to be training and clearly frustrated. Anissa, like I've been mentioning with the other characters, is probably going to be better characterized here than in her comics.
For sure. And in the comics, she's a good character. Like, she has an amazing arc. That's like something I give Invincible credit for. You don't know, the person who started it wanted to work at like Marvel and DC, and they didn't let him, and he came up with his universe on his own. And after doing that, he has not only made it like, you know, badass in the action sense, but there's character development left and right. Like, almost every character has an arc that they follow, and it's executed at an efficient rate, which is not the same, you can say, for a lot of solo artists that have built their own thing. And I think he is a part of a collective. I think it might be Icon Comics, but what I'm saying is he went separate from like the huge monopolies and kind of created his own universe.
Anissa, like I was saying with the other Invincible characters, is probably going to be characterized a lot better here, just because, you know, in the comics she's kind of a degenerate. But we do see by the end of the comic she is somebody that does try to redeem herself or
Yes, she gets an arc at the end of the comics.
make up for her faults. So I'm sure we're going to be getting some more insight on her, just for people to pretty much resonate with her or, you know, accept her as a character. Now, we'd see Alan and Nolan, of course, inviting Mark to join them in defeating the Viltrumites, which of course leads into the big Viltrumite War. This is the big arc of this season. And of course, we get to see characters like Tech Jacket and Battle Beast pop off, which I'm really excited for. Fun fact, Battle Beast is actually whacking the same Viltrumite that Mark was fighting in season 2. Pretty niche little interaction there, but I think the
The name, like Thesa, something, bro.
most important thing to note of this trailer, of course, is the introduction of the man, the myth, the legend himself. And oh my god, bro, who is this man's barber in both the comics and the show? Because my god! Thrag is looking menacingly as ever, and it seems like we are actually going to be getting the panel of Thrag pulling up to Nolan and the others, implying that this season may or may not end on Thrag versus Nolan and Mark. Meaning this season will not only have the first half of the war take place, but potentially Mark versus Conquest round 2 as well.
See, that's what I'm saying. If this is the first half, and then season 4, it depends on how they tackle that like other arc. Like, if everything we're getting teasers of is like fully fleshed out by the end, then like season 6. Because the second half of the war, they can definitely split up. And then you have like the conclusion, like at the end, which they're definitely going to flesh out more than the comics was kind of speed ran. But if this other arc is taking precedence, like we're going to get one half and it's going to be kind of rushed, and then the second half of the season is this other arc, then that changes everything.
well. It would be cool to see older version of Mark, Oliver, and Nolan here, but I really doubt it. I think for the season to end on a perfect note, you would probably have Mark kill Conquest. I mean, just basing my observations off the trailer alone, we know that this fight had a major impact on him, and he obviously has a new mindset. So what better way to show his growth than to have him actually legitly beating the villain that he barely beat last time? I mean, even the trailer makes fun of Mark for this. He just doesn't.
And it's a good conclusion because the last time we got a season end, similarly, it was with Armstrong Levy and him thinking he ended him when he didn't. While this is like not only growth physically, but like his growth as a character, because now he's going to do it and he's not going to be like so hesitant about it.
Doesn't win any fights legitly on his own, and he's always holding back in some type of way, which 9 times out of 10 costs him the W. However, this is a new mindset for Mark and a new version of Invincible we are going to be seeing here, and I definitely can say that you guys are definitely not ready for this. Not only just for Invincible versus Conquest, but I mean Thrag's introduction, Battle Beast popping off, Tech Jacket popping off, even the side adventures with Nolan and Alan, which I'm not gonna lie is probably the most like hype part for me in the trailer. I don't know, bro. Like, I need Nolan and Alan to just be flying in space with Ventura Highway or A Horse with No Name playing in the background, and they're just getting the team together. Like, these two are deadass movie like Nick Fury and Black Widow in Phase 1. It's really funny.
Thanks.
Anyway, this is my breakdown of the Invincible Season 4 trailer. This looks to be the best season yet, at least content-wise, and I really hope we get some extended episodes.
And the good thing is because of the way it's set up, that means the second season is also going to be very like action-packed and is going to pick off where the other content is, where this content is going to leave off, so it's going to have a lot more hype to it.
To compensate with an additional arc. Because if that's the case, then we might run into some pacing issues, and I'm not gonna lie, Invincible already kind of had a pacing issue with Season 2, and I really don't want that. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts of this season? What do you think is going to be the most hype moment for you? In my opinion, it's definitely going to be Mark versus Conquest, but like I just mentioned, I really want to just see Nolan and Alan going back and forth on their space adventures. It's a super underrated part of the comic, and Nolan and Alan's dynamic, in my opinion, is one of the best in the series and leads into one of the biggest moments as well, which will more than likely happen in Season 5, or maybe in Season 6 or 7. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys are most hyped about.
I like how we both know, like, 6, I leave it long enough to pause, 7 is going to be, like, the range of seasons.
With Season 4, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Appreciate you, Ty. Appreciate so much for watching. As always, make sure you get your water. Make sure you stay happy, healthy, and hydrated. And I'll always catch you in the next. You know when to find me. Peace.